Hello. Yeast infection testing at home. Every woman has had a yeast infection, but you're still not sure, is it really yeast? Hello to all the good people. My name is Dr. Romella Janene, and this is Romella Janene Global, where I talk about well-being and all things that impact our daily lives. So, okay, I had symptoms, right? And we all know what the symptoms are. I don't need to kind of go through those. And so I was thinking, yeah, this is probably basically yeast. But, let me be sure, okay? And so then I decide to, try and get an appointment. Recently moved to a new area and had not yet sort of landed on my new gynecologist. Tried to find one, the appointments are not readily available, and I'm like, okay, let me try and do, some treating on my own. So I decided to go to the, local drugstore, went to Walgreens, and was prepared to just buy, the major sort of normal cream. We all know Monistat. But then I saw this, right, by Winix. And I thought, well, this is interesting, right? Vaginal health test and treat. Understand what kind of infection you have and access a telehealth doctor for prescription treatment. Okay? I'm like, well, this sounds interesting. Let me get it. So I'll put this right here, and I'll take a photo and post it. But this is $18.99. I bought a Reese's. Okay, but so everything all together with the Reese's was $2.19. It came to $21.18. So this is probably $20, with the tax for where I am. Okay, right at Walgreens. Inside, I'm not going to show anything. Because, it's used at this point. Okay, anyway, they do look like this. And you do, kind of just insert this end, and you hold on to this end, okay, and you do your business. Just 10 seconds, it was very quick. You have, well, I will show you these. I will show you the little color strip because this is relevant, right? So these two are normal. So 4 to 4.4, and the pH is normal. 4.7 over, you got an issue. Okay. I do the test. Mine was 4.7. And you read the instructions or whatever it comes with. It's like, yeah, based on what you told us your symptoms are, this is probably yeast. Now I need to back up, okay? Because you basically, you how can I say this? You essentially get the test, right? And the test and treat, which I found out later, is really just getting access to the portal. And the actual cost to see the telehealth doctor is extra. That was an extra $29.99. So if you're keeping track, I'm at $49.99, right? And then there was the cost of the medication, okay? Which I did get a prescription. So let me just say, okay, you take your test result, and then you compare it to the little strip, and then there's a QR code, and I'll show that. The little QR code that you put in your phone, and then it takes you to their website, and you say, hey, this is what my result was. It walks you through like the whole sort of intake process that you would do if you were going to your doctor for the first time, establishing care, right? So anyway, I do that, and I'm thinking, okay, this is pretty good so far, no complaints. This seems to be humming along. The whole thing to kind of get to the actual, physician that was available was like 3 minutes, like literally, like as fast as you can kind of go through. There's like ping, you know, you get a person. So that part was pretty good. The tech seems to work generally well. The problem started after that. Okay, you know, we wouldn't be doing this if there weren't something that popped up, right? So what popped up was essentially the normal pharmacy that I would want to use, which was a Walgreens, was not an option. The options were just 2 types, a CVS or Walmart. Okay, you know, some people have their feelings about Walmart. Lots of people go to Walmart. I'm not giving Walmart that type of information on me. I'm just, you know, I'm not. I'm not going to do my healthcare at Walmart. Excuse me. Anyway, excuse me. Throat chakra activation. Yeah, I'm not going to do that. So anyway, I'm like, okay, let me pick the CVS. Now, the CVS didn't have anything on me because I normally use Walgreens. And I don't know if this is relevant to, you know, girlies outside of the States. I feel like other countries are like ahead of us on this sort of thing. I feel like other countries, you know, are ahead. You know, it's like definitely like countries like Japan and South Korea and most of Europe are probably ahead of us on this. But anyway, you know, for us girlies here in the States, you know, this is what is new for us. So, yeah, the doctor was pretty quick. You know, I had to do the description of my symptoms like 3 times, which was a little sort of like irritating, but it made sure, you know, and then I actually, and I say 3 times because as I should have had to upload sort of a photo of like, you know, the test strip and the test. And that made it real clear like what was going on. So anyway, going back to the 2 choices, I picked the CVS. Still kind of learning the area that I'm in. Didn't really know that location that I picked that was in, you know, the app as a choice is permanently closed, right? So there was the hiccup. And I, you know, there was lots of notifications and all of that, so that part was fine. But then, like I said, there was this hiccup of there being a closed location in the app as a choice. So there was lots of going back and forth, trying to get them to send it somewhere else. There was some waiting, you know, and time was ticking by. And I didn't think I was going to get my prescription because they, you know, the clinical staff works basically Monday through Friday, and they call time at like, I believe, maybe it's in here, 4 p.m. Pacific. Yeah, I believe. 4 p.m. Pacific, which is 7 on the East Coast, where I am located. All right, so anyway, you know, I had gone to a different CVS to see if they could kind of pull the prescription, because if you've moved, you know this, like sometimes they can just say, hey, you know, I had a prescription going here, you know, I'm here now, can you, you know, grab it? And they were not able to do that because it was a closed location, so it never actually landed anywhere. So, long story short, a lot of back and forth, a lot of consternation, a lot of doubting, a lot of wondering, was I still going to resort back to the Monistat? Because what had been given as a prescription, which I did eventually get, was, you know, the pill. And the pill is better because the pill is systemic, right? You know, because a lot of things start in the gut and then kind of migrate. So, you know, the fact that the pill is better because it's systemic, I really wanted the pill, and I didn't want to have to resort back to the cream. Even though they have the one that stays in place now, so you know, it's why deal with the mess in the undies? So yeah, that was frustrating. You know, trying to get the physician back, who had been very responsive right away, presumably was working other new ones that was flooding her at the time, and you know, turning those around like that. So, you know, coming back to one that she had already worked probably was, you know, not at the top of the list. honest. But anyway, yeah, I eventually did get the pills. And the prescription was for 2, with the instructions on if you're not better in 72 hours after taking the first one, take pill 2, go ahead. And just for context, I still got an appointment. I'm just going to do my well woman visit because, it's New Year, might as well do that. Scheduled for, sometime next week, which I'm excited for. It's just like, let's get it done. But that was really irritating. This whole process was irritating. It was not as inexpensive as I thought it was going to be. So the treat, this test and treat, in my mind, this was like everything to get to the actual, prescription. It's just to the platform, okay? The televisit was, like I said, another $30. And the actual cost of the prescription for me was $17, and this was, I don't know, no insurance. I think it was just, this is just the cost. I think maybe they could have used something like GoodRx, although I don't see that listed here. So I think this is just a regular sticker price for this. But yeah, so that was the story of this. All in all, I would say, it was a good solution. I am feeling better. This happened just yesterday. The date from when I'm recording this was the day before, and today is Saturday, June 13th. So all of this action went down on the 12th. So that's what I have to say about that. This is really kind of important for folks because essentially, this was about women. This story was about women. But, there's more sort of at-home testing that's available for a whole plethora of things. And having the availability of the telehealth and seeing how that actually works was really important. And the marrying between like the product in the store and then trying to like get to the physician on the other end was a different experience for me. Normally when I had used telehealth before, it's kind of through the insurance and everything was more sort of like, you're in the doctor's office, but you're not. So there's not this extra little platform that you're really having to do a lot with. So anyway, hopefully you found this to be informative. If this was your first time here, I want to thank you for watching. I really appreciate you watching, until the end. And if you like what you heard, then thank you for liking, dropping a comment, and subscribing. And if you really, really liked what you heard, then please, and thank you for sharing. And until my next story time, take care. Bye.